Hey everyone, I know it's been a while since I last made a video like this, but I just wanted to go over my process for the serpent painting I did the other day. So let's get into it. Alright, so to begin this one, I'm going to do a quick sketch using just black and white values to lay out the composition really quickly. Normally I'll start with a gray wash, but this time I kind of just went in with the brush and filled everything in. So I really wanted to have the lower areas of the castle kind of obscured by these giant storm clouds, just to add a sense of scale, I guess, as well as, giving me an excuse to add some lightning into the scene. And now we whip out the textures. Those are actually AI generated textures. There's a couple apps that I use for that, but it usually looks a lot more painterly than just using normal photo textures. And of course these photo textures are optional. If you have any texture brushes, you can actually use those just about as well. It just saves me time. And now we're adding in some cloud textures. For this I just use normal photo textures because it's a bit more straightforward when you're just using clouds. Also, as far as color scheme goes, I pretty much just used an overlay tool on the brush to add that warm lighting on the side, and then I'm doing the same basically to keep the other side a bit more blue. More of my AI photo textures. Feel free to use, either normal photo textures or, none at all. Again, I enjoy the process of using them. At this point, I'm going back through just refining some of the cloud shapes and the silhouettes. These buildings were a little bit too dark initially, so I go in and throw some lighter blues over them. Fit the atmosphere a bit better. Like some atmospheric fog. At this point, you don't want to, go crazy with the details, but for the most part, I'm kind of just messing around with the composition and primarily the silhouettes to make sure that everything feels right, especially with how lots of these colors blend into each other. I wasn't too worried about how this foreground field was going to end up looking. I kind of just threw some very light greens in there to make it look like there's some light bleeding through the clouds, and you just spotting that field. Now I'm going back in and we're gonna add some of these structural textures to this tower here. I'm lazy. I'm sure I could either mask it or lasso it, but I just go in with an eraser and get rid of all the outside textures. Fortunately, this texture, I didn't really like this texture that much. It was a little too bold. I didn't really like how it looked on the building, but I kind of went with it. I think I go back in later actually and just hand paint some of them. But the lasso there is helpful for making those tower spires look extra sharp. And it was subtle, but I went back and I hit the shadow side of the towers with another kind of wash of light blue, just to emphasize that these are big structures in the way distance. Now that I have all these the textures in there, I'm basically just going through and, like I said before, solidifying the silhouettes. Generally, my pieces tend to be entirely way too fuzzy because I blend like a maniac, and so I have to stop myself sometimes and go through and add those hard edges. So that was a change I decided to make kind of late into the game. I wanted some more room on the upper third. It was kind of split in half a little awkwardly, so I stretched the canvas up and I said, hey, why not? Let's just stretch the mountain up, and now it's just a taller mountain, which actually looks a lot cooler. Obviously, I decided to go through and with adding a big monster to this piece. I thought having big, you know, a big coiling snake body would kind of fit this piece well, especially with all the clouds. You can have the body kind of going through the clouds and disappearing and popping out farther away and whatnot. I added the snake and it was subtle, but I went through and I added shadows to all the towers and all the snake, to the snake's body, just on the clouds, just to, I guess it just adds an extra layer of depth. And then going through my texture brush, all the elements that are further away, I have this very grainy brush, and it kind of makes it adds that element of, you know, of details fading as things get farther away. And actually the head of the snake here, the big monster, I had a kind of hard time with it because the value on this part of on this side of the painting was so kind of not blown out, but so overpowered by this kind of orangey brown color. I was trying to balance it with the blue a bit more, but it was really hard to do without it looking really weird. So you can see I'm totally wrestling with it here. I think the big thing I figured out was that I need to keep it surprisingly dark in value, so it didn't blend into this mountain behind it. Most of the time I would paint these lightning bolts out to fit the composition a bit better, but the lightning to me wasn't going to be, it wasn't a very, especially this foreground lightning wasn't a super big aspect to the painting, so I kind of just threw it in there, and then you'll see I trying to figure out where to put it, and then get it blended into that cloud. I wanted it to look like to make it so you could kind of see the underside of the cloud a bit here. And I said, why not? Let's make this snake a big lightning snake. It's shooting lightning out of its mouth. I enjoyed how the lightning looked down below, and kind of figured, hey, why not? Let's kind of have that repeat throughout this piece. Maybe it's some sort of storm snake or storm serpent of some kind. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, from here you're gonna, you know, go in and find places to add details and refine and whatnot. But this was a pretty simple piece, a pretty quick one. I'll definitely, you know, make more of these where we go a bit more in depth. But regardless, I hope that you enjoyed the process at least, and you know, learned something new. But I'll definitely be making a lot more of these, and you will see. I mean, if you guys have any suggestions, especially with, you know, certain things that you see me doing and you're not too sure you know how to do that, or obviously if you just have any simple questions, then you can ask them in the comments, and I, you know, will most definitely get around to answering them. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and stick around for new ones coming up. I'll catch you all later.